I would like to show you a book that honestly, like most of the books I buy, very cheap, $5, $10 max. And they can teach you a lot, this book. Why? Because this book is a mix of a chess biography, very small, a collection of games by Alekhine, here at the beginning of the chapter there are some games of each chapter. Then there are a lot of puzzles from Alekhine's game where you must play the right move, and after the puzzle still you have other games that they show you to give you the different features of this champion. Then there are the solutions to the puzzle if you just want that, and the puzzles are like 150, okay? Or there is the entire puzzles as complete games with the critical moves and critical moments. So you have at least another 150 games. To me, this book is great because it teaches you a lot of stuff and it doesn't make you spend money practically, because $5, hey, what is it? Nothing, right? But at the same time, you have two authors that have worked for months, because for sure to make this book they have worked for many months to collect the material, find the right positions. Please remember that this book was published in 2004, but probably it was from before, like 1988. So an old book before computer, so they really had to work hard, okay? And I like to start the book with a classic game that you should know, a game that you need to know and remember. It's a game between Bogolyubov and Alekhine, played in Hastings 1922, so 102 years ago. It's a Dutch defense. It's a game that I have already seen, not because I saw this book, but because I studied as opening the Dutch defense. And I think it was maybe in one of the books by Grandmaster Williams, that is a person known for playing the Dutch defense. Bogolyubov begins with d4, f5, c4, knight f6, g3, e6, bishop g2, bishop b4, bishop d2, bishop takes d2, knight takes d2. Here it says that it's more natural to take with a queen, but honestly, I don't know. If these comments are made in 1988 without checking the book with a computer later, obviously we must take them with a grain of salt, okay? Knight c6, knight g f3, castle, castle, d6, queen b3, and king h8. Now this king h8, it's very important because, as you can see, the queen b3 has done two things. Is attacking this, so this cannot leave, and indirectly is attacking this, is putting pressure, because after you can play something like this, it's kind of problematic, right? So queen b3, it's a very strong move in the Dutch defense. Now, after king h8, white plays this move that honestly doesn't make much sense. It made more sense to play d5, because then you shatter black center, since this must be move, or must take this, and so this can become loose, and then there are these two squares that with knight g5 also are kind of loose. So d5 was a better move than queen c3. Okay. Okay. So since white didn't challenge black center, black does challenge white with e5. Great move. Now, in the game, Bogolyubov played e3, but maybe d takes e5 was slightly better. He would leave with an unclear evaluation. I know that Grandmaster Williams likes this kind of situation, to tell you the truth. So we must be aware that it's a possibility, okay? And that today is not bad for black, honestly. But in that time, Bogolyubov played e3. Here, black goes with a5. Generally, I know that in the Dutch you play it, after this you play this immediately. But you don't do it like he did now, so I don't know. But here they put a kind of exclamation point which indicates that it's a very good move. And the explanation here is that black with this move prevents white queenside expansion, okay? b3, queen e8, typical move in the Dutch, because this is a classical Dutch at this point, right? And generally you have this queen going here, then you try to play f4, bishop h3, knight g4. That's what you play to attack in this classical Dutch and also in the Stonewall Dutch. Okay, a3, queen h5, h4. Okay, now since we are in a video that is a review of the book but also wants to teach you something, please tell me why d takes e5 wasn't a great idea for white. Okay, I will show you after d takes e5, knight takes e5. You say, you see, 2, 4, 6, 7, 3, 6, I gain one pawn, right? Maybe. Knight takes e5, queen takes e5. What do you think now is black going to play and win the game? What do you think black is going to play now and win the game? So if you pause the video, you will find the move right away, which is knight g4, right? Because it's attacking the queen e5 and is threatening checkmate. So that's why d takes e5 was not a good idea. Now let me put back the pieces like it was. So immediately d takes e5, wrong. Now white plays this, at which you can then play something like that, right? Because once you play this, there is not that threat that we saw here. In fact, black reacts with knight g4, and here white has obviously different option. He could play b4 and start an attack on the queen side, which makes sense. Instead, white played knight g5. Black continue with bishop d7, f3, knight f6, and now white needs to avoid that black destroys this pawn structure. and he does it with f4. Otherwise black would have played probably f4 and start to damage this, okay? So you must be really careful. Sometimes you need to do stuff that maybe you don't want to avoid that your opponent doesn't do it himself. e4, and this has created obviously two outposts. Rook f d1, h6, removing this, knight h3, and now black plays d5. Knight f1, and if you have time and the pleasure, you need to pause the video and try to find what is the next move by black. Okay, so pause the video and try to find it. Now black played knight e7. As you can see, there is a clear fight for d5. Black is not going to want to lose that. And here the problem would be that black want to play this, and if you play this, tack, it takes, and then d5 easy square, you cannot take it anymore, right? Why d5 is important? Because then this will probably fall. There are a lot of possibilities and attack on the king side, right? So what did white play? White obviously prevented a4. Please keep in mind that Alekhine and Bogolyubov have played, I think, a world championship match together, and they were in a prison camp together in World War One. I think the experience Alekhine had in World War One marked him for life, because I think he was going to get shot and killed, and luckily his execution was stopped. These are things that change you probably forever, and obviously during World War II must have been quite aware that his life was in danger, right? Okay, so after a4 there was knight c6, because you see, every move of a pawn creates some holes, okay? So every move you play creates weaknesses that the opponent is going to exploit, right? Rook d2, knight b4, bishop h1. Now it's terrible because, as you can see, all the white pieces start to get cramped. He doesn't have a space advantage. It's terrible. Queen e8. This queen e8 makes you think what? That now he doesn't think he can break through on the king side, so he's going to break through on the queen side, right? And white plays rook g2. I mean, this is terrible. This is out of the game, so he wants to break through there. I don't know. He clearly wants to play this, right? So that's why he played rook g2. But it seems a little too strange, to me at least. So at this point, black plays d takes c4, b takes c4. And of course, now this is lost. So why he didn't play this move? Because black would have continued like this. And probably it's even worse, it seems. but here in the book they don't give us a continuation which would explain why this is going to fall. Good. So let's see, because this loses this pawn, right? Knight f2, bishop d7, knight d2, b5. Once more, as you can see, black wants to take control of the square, so is trying to entice white to take on b5. Okay? Knight d1, and boom! As soon as you give up the control of the square, black takes it, right? How does they continue? Rook takes a5, and just to tell you one thing that you might find interesting, it seems that Alekhine gave a comment upon this move. This move lead to black having a winning position. So eventually pause the video, try to find the line. Okay, obviously the line would continue like this, right? At this point you don't take on a5, but you play this. That's why you wanted the square d5, to bring your pieces forward, right? Rook, queen f3, rook takes a5, queen takes a5, and now there is queen c6 with a winning position for black. Why it's a winning position for black? Well, start to check how many squares are controlled by the black pieces and the fact that black can play rook a8, and probably this queen start to have some problems, right? As you can see. Okay, so let me bring the position back to what it was. Okay, we are back in the game, and white just played rook takes a5. Okay, this was the position, rook takes a5 instead of c takes b5 that we saw the line given by Alekhine. Before, rook takes a8, boom. And here there is a beautiful move for black. Can you see it? Okay, can you see what black played? Try to find it out. The move is b takes c3, boom. Spectacular sacrifice, which is leading to a beautiful finish. However, a later, perhaps more pragmatic world champion pointed out that the simple queen takes a8 also win. The world champion that said queen takes a8 win is Kasparov, okay? Rook takes here. And now, what do you think black played? Because this is obviously the meaning of sacrificing the queen is not for taking that rook back, right? You don't want to take that, otherwise why did you sacrifice the queen? It doesn't make any sense. Boom, c2. Can you imagine this c2? Because it's unstoppable. That's the reality. Okay. Rook takes f8, check. King h7. Knight f2. c1. Queen again. Like the phoenix arises from the ashes, right? Knight f1. And once more, pause the video and try to find black next move, okay? I tell you, this game it's really beautiful. Yeah, the thing that Alekhine sacrificed the queen, it's beautiful. And if you pause the video and found out what is the next black's move, I will tell you. It's boom, knight e1. Here Alekhine obviously exploits white's crown pieces to threaten a checkmate. Can you see the checkmate? If he plays this is a checkmate, so be careful, because sometimes you cannot escape that. So what did white played? Rook h2, and black continue with this rook takes, queen takes e4. Queen takes e4. Rook b8. Bishop b5. Now he's threatening checkmate here, right? And here white doesn't have any choice, right? If you don't want a checkmate here, what do? You cannot play this, right? It's not gonna work. Rook takes b5. Queen takes b5. g4. Finally, white is able to play that g4 for which he put the rook on g2, right? But unfortunately, things are not over for white. Knight f3. Bishop takes f3. E takes f3. And now there is g takes f5. Of course, you need to analyze, if you were black, what happens on g5, right? What do you think it happens on g5? Well, the thing is simple. He plays this. If you take, he takes, he has two pass pawns that are connected. They are really a big problem for white, right? So that's why g takes f5. Now black continues with queen e2, and the problem here is that white, this is an endgame. In the endgame there is this kind of German term called Zugzwang, which means that white will have a limited amount of moves, and when he will have to move, he will lose the game. So that's the real problem. Here he continues with d5, but he could have played this and knight g4 would have won. You can see it. Let's say he played this, knight g4. If you take, is queen g2, checkmate, right? So you must be kind of careful what's going on here, right? So, okay, he played d5, king g8, h5, and Alekhine knows that all he has to do now, he asks white to move again. Oh, finally he moved this, and we go forward. Tack, tack, tack. Now there is d6. It takes, f6, g takes. Rook d2, and this is what I told you in the beginning. This game, I love it because black enters an endgame that he knows he wins without even watching the board. He plays queen e2, boom. Rook takes e2, f takes e2. Now, if white moves this, he gets a queen, so he has to move this, right? But then, bam, queen, right? Takes, And now black has won the endgame because it's a kind of pawn endgame, very, very simple. Tac, 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 check. Decide what you want to do, but the game is over. And don't believe me, obviously. Try to play it against a sparring partner. Try to play it against computer. Do whatever you want, but try to learn this simple endgame. Okay, this is an endgame that you must learn how to play because it will make you grow as a chess player. I hope you enjoyed this game from Alexander Alekhine, Master of Attack. The old book with over 150 text position, more than 150 games, a little biography, definitely worth it because I paid it so little. So it's so enjoyable to watch these ancient games. I mean, the game we just watched is 102 years old. Amazing. Thank you very much.